This weekend's football was quite eventful, and it started off in the Emirates Stadium with Arsenal beating Wolves 2-1. And for those that don't know, I have an Arsenal channel, so if you really want to get my in-depth analysis of the game, go check it out on my Arsenal channel. Link is in the description. But Arsenal pretty much controlled the game, looked comfortable throughout, could have been 3 or 4, but a Zinchenko mistake in the 80th minute led Cunha to scoring and kind of gave Wolves an option and a way back into the game. But Arsenal held out to keep top of the league and secure 3 points, with their next game coming up against Luton Town on Tuesday. Now up north we go to Newcastle at St James's Park. Newcastle coming off a 1-1 draw against PSG in the week, and Man United were coming off a 3-3 draw against Galatasaray in the week. So this game saw both teams trying to bounce back, both coming off draws, and coming into this game both winning their previous Premier League games. Going into this game, Manchester United had only won 1 game against Newcastle in their last 5, that game being the Carabao Cup final last season. Now in this game, Man United were so bad, so poor, they looked like they were fish out of water. Newcastle were too sharp and too quick for them. I suppose the only surprise really in this game that it wasn't more than 1-0. Newcastle easily could have had enough chances to make it 4 or 5-0. Man United really struggled with the pace, the tempo, the sharpness that Newcastle played. And I know people are going to blame Onana for the game, but he really had a decent game, made some good saves. I suppose one of the only negatives that Newcastle can take from this game is the fact that Nick Pope has now picked up an injury and it's not looking good. Looks like a long-term injury. Hopefully it isn't. Hopefully he'll be back in no time. But I suppose it's one of the only negatives that Newcastle can take from this game. They were absolutely outstanding, outclassed Man United from the first minute to the last. They hit the crossbar with a beautiful free kick from Kieran Trippier. They had countless chances where they could have scored to extend their lead, and it feels like we say this every week, but where now for United? I know a 1-0 loss against Newcastle at St James's Park doesn't ruin your season. Arsenal are case in points of that, but you're coming off such a horrific 3-3 draw against Galatasaray, a game you should have won comfortably. All eyes are on you, all eyes are on the management staff in Ten Hag at United. Where do they go from here? They have to find something. I said this in a video that I released 3 days ago or something, that United to me are just so soft. They remind me of the post-Wenger Arsenal. Not that they're nearly as bad as that team, but it's just the softness that they play. They struggle to stand up and fight with iron and grit, which is so weird considering they have so many veterans in Casemiro and Varane. I don't know where United go from here. I know it's only a 1-0 loss at St James's Park, but like I said, it could have been 4 or 5. Horrific performance all around from United. They got outclassed, they got dominated, but luckily or maybe unluckily for Man United, they play again on Wednesday and they have a good chance to bounce back. They're at home, and I know it's against Chelsea, so this could go either way. If they lose against Chelsea, I believe that Ten Hag's seat is going to be boiling hot, but a win against Chelsea can kind of just calm the nerves, calm the fears of all United fans and players, and maybe they can kick on from there. Now on to Sunday's Premier League action, and we'll start with the big one in Manchester, with Manchester City playing Tottenham in the Etihad Stadium. And I mean, at this point, Man City seem allergic to playing boring games. If it's not the 4-4 draw with Chelsea, then it's this 3-3 draw with Tottenham. I think it's very clear and everyone will agree that Man City were by far and away the better team, had the better chances. This is definitely 2 points dropped as opposed to a point gain for Man City. Son opened up the scoring for Tottenham in the 6th minute from a beautiful counter-attacking play from a Man City corner. Really well worked team goal to go 1-0 up against Manchester City. But then just 3 minutes later, in the 9th minute of the game, Man City took a free kick, whipped it in, and I don't really know what happened. It kind of just came off Son and went into the back of the net to equalize the game to make it 1-1. But right after that, I thought City just kind of controlled the game. In the 31st minute, Phil Foden gets a goal for Man City, and Man City go up 2-1 at halftime, looking very comfortable, controlling the proceedings. But in the 69th minute, nice, Lo Celso got yet another goal for Spurs. I think this is his 2nd goal in just 2 games. A huge goal to equalize for Spurs and give them life to make it 2-2. And at that point, City got a little bit desperate, maybe rushing their play a little more than they should, but it seemed to work. In the 81st minute, Jack Grealish gets a goal, and at that point I thought it was the winner. I'm sure everyone else thought it was the winner. City were on the way to go win the game, a lot like the Chelsea game. They go get a goal and they think that's that, but that wasn't over. Kulusevski gets a headed goal in the 90th minute to equalize the game to make it 3-3, and after that Tottenham held out. But of course there's a huge talking point from the game, the refereeing decision. When it's 3-3, Haaland gets fouled on a breakaway counter-attack. The ref then signals for advantage and to keep playing on, so City do. City play a beautiful ball over the top of the Spurs backline to Jack Grealish, who was one-on-one with the keeper, but that's when the referee blows the whistle to call it back for the free kick. I have no idea how the ref thought that was the right decision. This is why I keep saying I would love if they could add refereeing press conferences after the game to explain his decisions, but that makes no sense to me. How are you going to allow play on and then you're going to call it back once the team you're given an advantage to has an advantage? I would understand if he straight away blew the whistle for Haaland's free kick. That's what I thought happened at first. It was a horrible decision, absolutely disgraceful. I know I'm an Arsenal fan, so right now it's sounding like I'm just hating on Tottenham, but we have to be honest here, we have to be real. That is a horrible decision from the referee. But outside of that, I thought that City were far the better team. They definitely deserved the win. So I'm going to give a lot of credit to Tottenham for this. They're down, they have a lot of injuries. Maddison's not playing, but they still go out against Man City in the Etihad Stadium, and like they always seem to do, they take some points off Man City, and somehow, some way they scrape a draw. They now sit 5th in the Premier League, just 6 points off Arsenal, and they play their next game against West Ham on Thursday. And as for Man City, it's not going to get any easier. They will be playing Aston Villa, who is just 1 point behind them, sitting in 4th place in the Premier League. They will be playing Aston Villa away from home. It's going to be a tough one in the week, and I really think that Villa have all the capabilities to strike and surprise Man City, but I think Haaland and Man City will find a way and get a victory. Now on to Merseyside and Anfield, where Liverpool hosted Fulham, and it was yet another crazy game in the Premier League. Liverpool walking out as 4-3 victors. I mean, it just feels at this point that every Premier League game is just a goal fest. In the 20th minute, Alexander-Arnold opened up the scoring with a free kick goal, although it was awarded as a Leno own goal, being that it hit the post and came off him. But at that point, I'm sure every Liverpool fan around the world thought this is going to be business as usual, and we should be able to walk away with this unscathed. But just 4 minutes later, Harry Wilson scores for Fulham to make it 1-1, and then 14 minutes after that goal, McAllister scores for Liverpool to make it 2-1, but right before the half, Tete scores for Fulham to make it 2-2 going into halftime. Absolutely crazy game. And then the game kind of dulled out. I think Liverpool were the better team, but Fulham were really competitive throughout. And in the 80th minute, I thought we were in for a shocking result. Decordova-Reid scored for Fulham to make it 3-2, and at that point Fulham just sat so deep and held on, and I was pretty confident that Fulham would be able to walk away with 3 points in Anfield. But in the 87th minute, new signing Endo scores for Liverpool to make it 3-3, and that's pretty much how I thought the game would end up. 3-3, but not a minute later, Alexander-Arnold registers his first goal of the game. Probably could have been his second, but it was his first goal of the game officially to give Liverpool the lead in a crazy turn of events. Fulham were up 3-2, and just 2 minutes later, they are down 4-3. That's what I suppose you can get when you go play at Anfield. Absolutely crazy scenes at Anfield. Alexander-Arnold gets the 3 points for Liverpool. Liverpool are now sitting pretty, just 2 points off league leaders Arsenal, and their next game is a very winnable one away at Sheffield United on Wednesday evening. That should be another 3 points for Liverpool. And as for Fulham, I don't really know how they're going to be feeling right now. You go to Anfield, put in a decent performance, you score 3 goals, you are on the verge of getting 3 points at Anfield, and within 2 minutes you blew your lead, and not only to a draw but to a loss. Sitting 14th in the Premier League, that really could have been a valuable 3 points for Fulham. But their next game should be a more competitive one against Nottingham Forest on Wednesday evening, and they will be at home, so maybe you could expect Fulham to get all 3 points from there and maybe just take the positives from this game. Now on to London we go with the clash of the blue teams, with Chelsea at home in Stamford Bridge playing Brighton, and I think a lot of people were surprised with this result, with Chelsea walking away as 3-2 victors being down to 10 men, but still getting all 3 points against a really good Brighton team. Brighton have, in all honesty, kind of fallen off this season. They weren't quite as potent as they were last season. And I mean, the beginning of the season, Brighton started off really well, but I suppose it's all the European minutes clocking up now for them. They do seem to be struggling ever so slightly. Enzo Fernandez opened up the scoring for Chelsea in the 17th minute, and in the 21st minute, Colwell got a goal for Chelsea to make it 2-0, and Chelsea at that point were cruising. But right before the half, in the 43rd minute, Buonanotte scored a beautiful left-footed goal to give Brighton life and make Chelsea start shaking a little bit and being a little bit nervy. And speaking of right before the half, Conor Gallagher put in a horrible challenge on former teammate Billy Gilmour and received his second yellow card for it. Horrible challenge, and it was a less than ideal timing, being that Chelsea had just conceded and are now going into the half 2-1 up, but down to 10 men. But somehow, someway, Chelsea withstood the Brighton onslaught. But in the 65th minute, Mudryk got 1-on-1 and Milner apparently fouled him, and it led Chelsea to getting a penalty through VAR. And listen, I'm not saying it's not a penalty, but I do think there's a way to say it's a light penalty. I think Milner came in. Yes, he led with the elbow, but it was kind of a 50-50 challenge. I think if that was outside the box, that's not even given as a free kick, so I don't understand why that's given as a penalty. But Enzo Fernandez took the penalty to make it 3-1 to Chelsea, and although they were down to 10 men, they were really starting to play well. In the 92nd minute, João Pedro scored for Brighton to make it a little bit nervy, but Chelsea saw the game out and got an important 3 points against a fairly decent team. Are Chelsea maybe starting to turn it around? Potentially. They have a really important game, I said earlier, against Man Utd in Old Trafford, so it really depends on how that game goes. I think if they can go to Old Trafford and get a positive result, being a draw or win, I think Chelsea then have all the means that they could potentially have turned their season around. They sit 10th in the Premier League right now, but being that the Premier League is still so early in the season, one win could flip you and you could be sitting 7th or 6th just after one win. Very, very positive result for Chelsea. I think the only negative they have from the game is the suspension for Conor Gallagher. He won't be playing against United. Luckily, it's not a straight red, so the suspension is not going to be 3 games and will only be 1, being that it was a second yellow card. And as for Brighton, I touched on this a little bit earlier, but Brighton really started off the season on a flyer, but since then, maybe it's all the European games they've been playing, they have been starting to slow down. They currently sit 8th in the Premier League, but they have a fairly winnable game on Wednesday in the Amex Stadium at home against Brentford. That should be a good watch. I expect Brighton to probably get all 3 points, but it should be a good competitive watch. I don't think Brighton need to start panicking as of yet, but I think if this dodgy form keeps continuing, then they should maybe take a step back, reassess. But yeah, it is quite weird seeing them start off so well in the beginning of the season and now they're starting to taper off. On to the rest of Europe now, and we will be going to Madrid. Real Madrid had a comfortable victory, winning 2-1 against Granada, with Brahim scoring and Rodrigo scoring, with Rodrigo now having 7 goals and 4 assists in just 5 games. Rodrigo is on fire, and Real Madrid looked very comfortable. Bellingham could have probably got a goal for himself or 2, but I mean, some lackluster finishing led to him not scoring on the night. But it was pretty comfortable. I think Girona beating Valencia earlier on in the day kind of put the pressure on Real Madrid to keep up with Girona, and they rose to the occasion, looked very good, looked very comfortable. There wasn't a moment in the game that I thought Granada had a chance at winning or even getting a draw out of the game. So I think it's job well done from Real Madrid. On to Barcelona now, and Barcelona got a 1-0 win over Atletico Madrid, with João Felix scoring the goal in the 28th minute against his former club. Very important 3 points for Barcelona, and as Atletico is starting to build up steam and form, they go out and lose 1-0 to Barcelona. Running through some other results now from around Europe, Inter Milan got a victory, and a huge one at that, beating Napoli 3-0 with goals from Çalhanoğlu, Barella and Thuram to walk away as 3-0 victors away from home. Absolutely outstanding performance from Inter Milan. Roma got a 2-1 victory over Sassuolo, and Leverkusen got a 78th minute equalizer to tie the game up against Borussia Dortmund 1-1. A very entertaining 1-1 draw, if I say so myself. And Bayer Leverkusen maybe potentially are starting to show some wariness. I've been saying this, I think as good as Leverkusen are and as good as a manager Xabi Alonso is, I just doubt the credentials, and I doubt they have what it takes for a 38-game season to go out and win the Bundesliga over Bayern Munich, who have done it for 11 straight seasons. But yeah guys, that's the video. Let me know in the comments below, which of the games did you guys enjoy the most? What did you guys think about your team's performance? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.